Hi everyone, it's A Ticket to Christ. Thank you for tuning back in. We're still in the Courage to Face the Day series. We're in Isaiah 38 from verse 1 through 6. And this is courage when you get a bad health report. Maybe you went to the doctor and he told you you have cancer or you have some life-threatening sickness or disease, and that you just feel like your heart just dropped to your stomach. Let's read this account. It says, those days was Hezekiah sick unto death. And Isaiah the prophet, the son of Amos, came unto him and said unto him, Thus saith the Lord, set thine house in order, for thou shalt die and not live. Then Hezekiah turned his face toward the wall and prayed unto the Lord, and said, Remember now, O Lord, I beseech thee, how I have walked before thee in truth and with a perfect heart, and have done that which is good in thy sight. And Hezekiah wept sore. Then came the word of the Lord to Isaiah, saying, Go and say to Hezekiah, Thus saith the Lord, the God of David thy father, I have heard thy prayer, I have seen thy tears. Behold, I will add unto thy days 15 years, and I will deliver thee in this city out of the hand of the king of Assyria, and I will defend this city. And so this is a very interesting passage about how Hezekiah, because of his heart, how his heart responded, the attitude of his heart, that the sentence that had come against him got turned around. So he had an extra 15 years added to his life. So let's imagine he was like 70, so that would be like 85. I don't know how old he was, but an extra 15 years, I'm sure it just felt like, wow. For us, it would be like 40 years, right? So let's break this apart and look at it a little closer. Notice Isaiah, the prophet, came to him and said that this is what God says. Set your house in order, you're going to die. And this is coming from God. So if a prophet is saying this is coming from God, set your house in order, you're going to die, and you know that this is a righteous prophet, a man of God, you're going to be feeling pretty much like Hezekiah felt, right? And he turned his face toward the wall and prayed unto the Lord. But I notice here that he did not turn to Isaiah the prophet and implore Isaiah the prophet. He turned to the Lord. He turned away and turned to the Lord. Turned his face away from Isaiah and turned to the Lord. And so that's step number one, that showed me the courage that he had, because it takes a lot of courage to handle the weightiness of that type of room. It's a weighty news. The weightiness of that type of news can be crippling to some people. It can really hit them for a loop. But immediately he turned to the Lord. And to me, that shows a level of confidence and trust in God. And notice what he tells God. What does he say to the Lord? He's honest. He reminds the Lord that he walked in truth, that he walked with a perfect heart. He did what was right. He said, God, remember, I did what was right. So he appealed to the Lord based on the promises of God, because he's appealing to God based on that he did what was right. And so based on God's integrity, he is making this appeal. And God heard, God heard. And everything got turned around. And I think that if you're in the situation whereby you're maybe it's not even health news, maybe it's bad news about something that is as devastating, have courage, turn to the Lord, turn your face to the Lord, and really seek him and seek his promises for you and hold them up. And God is a father who's merciful. incredibly merciful. Psalm 100 says his mercy is eternal. And so a doctor might say something, but God has the final word. And God wants to heal you. God is not God's will that we die in sickness, in disease. He wants us healed. He wants us well. When Jesus came, he healed everyone. So the first thing, have courage. If you're in that type of situation with that type of news, and you're faced with devastating news, the first thing to do is turn first to the Lord your God. Take the time out and pour out your heart to him. Tears and petitions, one-on-one with God, and get it out, because that's who is going to move. That's who you're seeking. That's who your confidence is in, and that's whose healing you're seeking, and direction and guidance and wisdom. And God will direct you. He'll direct your steps. God never turns away from the cry of our heart, a true cry, a cry that really is seeking after him. He never turns away from that, and he won't turn away from you now. God gives us the confidence to cope with the demands of life. And then I'm sure when Isaiah went back to Hezekiah and gave him this good news, right? It was just amazing to him. He actually, in verse 7, if you read, Isaiah came not only with the good news, but he came with a sign. He says, and this shall be a sign unto thee from the Lord, that the Lord will do this thing that he hath spoken. Behold, I will bring again the shadow of the degrees, which is gone down in the sundial of Ahaz, 10 degrees backward. So the sun returned 10 degrees, by which degrees it had gone down. And so that would have, God is so compassionate that not only did God send Isaiah, but he sent him with a sign to show him that the word was good, right? He was good for it. And that would have just really encouraged Hezekiah's faith, to see that. It would have been a confirmation for him. And so when you need the courage to cope with, the hard things of life, God will give you confirmation of, different things in your day, in your life that you need in a moment. He will send it for you. And I think that God sent the confirmation because Hezekiah was looking to God. He wasn't just looking to Isaiah, right, the prophet. He wasn't just going to take Isaiah, the prophet's word. He wanted confirmation from God because he was looking to God. So that's what I'm getting from this when I look at this passage, that Hezekiah's heart was turned toward God. He wasn't focused on Isaiah, the prophet, so much, but the God who sent the prophet. So beloved, that's it from me. I hope this gave you some food for thought. If you're one of these people and you've gotten bad news, take courage. Just look up. Remember that God is bigger than anything that you're facing. Don't lose heart. Don't lose heart. Get into the word, get into prayer, get into worship. You might not feel like it. You might feel hit. But you know what? You're still alive. You're still here. You're still breathing. Where there's life, there's always hope. Okay, so that's it from me. We'll pick up again tomorrow. Take care.